Okay, guys, I want to hit you with another hot button topic that continues to dominate headlines around the world, and that is immigration. If this isn't a topic that brings out the worst in people, then I don't know what is. And I'm not going to lie, it's kind of going to bring out the worst in me in this video. Fair warning. But the idea is simple. Every country has a border, right? Whether it's land, maritime, a river, or maybe it's not defined by a natural feature. Maybe it's just an arbitrary line that was put by some colonial shitheads. It's not a bigoted conversation to have as to how many people should be allowed into a country. Obviously, you don't want to put a strain on the population living there already, especially when it comes to the housing market. Now, this is something that is at the forefront of many leaders in countries around the world, as it should be. Each country has their own immigration policy. Some let in more foreign individuals than others. Well, the reason I bring this up and discuss this very topic is because of what's been going on in my own country. But before I do that, let's provide a little historical synopsis of immigration to the United States. We are a nation of immigrants. I'm sure a lot of you know that already. Doesn't really need to be said, but I said it. We always have been since colonial times in the 17th, 18th century, British obviously, and the trend has continued for centuries since then. Over the years, many policies have been implemented by the courts and the federal government to discourage immigration, especially from non-European nations. The Chinese Exclusion Act is a perfect example of this. Starting in the mid-1960s, the Hart-Celler Act lifted a centuries-long ban on non-European immigration. And soon, the concept of a melting pot really came to fruition. People from around the world began coming into the US to make a better life for themselves, their families, and even contribute to things like scientific and medical innovations, to name a few. I mean, to be fair, this happened before, but it was happening at a much faster pace. Now, this obviously isn't to bash immigrants who work in, say, agriculture or in a blue collar job such as plumbing, carpentry, mechanics. These are vital jobs to keep the country moving like clockwork, or any country, not just this one. And it also helps our society flourish in many ways. Now, I've heard all the arguments on the political right regarding immigrants. They take dibs! They're lazy! Yes, it's that contradictory. They don't pay taxes. Yes, they do, and they get nothing for it in return. They mooch off our welfare system. They commit crimes. I could go on. There's a lot of, trigger stuff that they say, but that's the gist of it. My point is, they contribute to society in many ways. Yet there are many who say, oh, but they came in illegally. Because, that's the worst crime imaginable. Red rum, grape, terrorism, extortion, money laundering, that's just doing business as usual. That's just, those are just normal everyday activities. Also, there are many instances where entering the country legally might not be an option. Let's say a gang like 18th Street or MS-13 is after you for whatever reason. They threaten to krill you and your family if you and you have to escape El Salvador, right? You owe them a debt of some kind. You didn't pay any protection money or something like that, right? Any extortion money, and you have to escape, Honduras, El Salvador, or Haiti, and you want to go to the U.S. because it's a beacon of hope to many people. And oftentimes this is done out of desperation in situations like these. I think I would flee to safety whichever way I can if I was in this situation. Also, you know who this very thing applies to? That's right, Kilmar Abrego Garcia, who they're actually, at the time I'm recording this, I just saw that they're trying to not deport him, but try to put him in a holding facility in Uganda. Because he'll do just fine over there, even though he's never lived. Come on, who are we kidding here? But he was in the same situation. He was gangs wanted to, kill his family, and he was stuck between a rock and a hard place, to put it mildly. I mean, if I was in that situation, yeah, I would definitely like try to get to the US by any means necessary because, your life kind of depends on it. Now, let's talk about the present day immigration policy. Right now, you have Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, deport people who are in the country illegally. Let's back it up a bit. As I said in the prior video I made, deportation implies you're sending someone back to their country of origin. Well, that's not really what's happening right now, is it? These ICE agents covering their faces with balaclavas are kidnapping and abducting people off the streets across the country and putting them into CCOT, Alligator Auschwitz, without any fair trial or due process. All illegally, might I add, which is why they're covering their faces. They don't want to be doxxed. They're raiding schools, Home Depots, 7-Elevens, labor sites, all sorts of places. Even people who voted for Trump are saying, whoa, 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 whoa. I thought you were only going to go after the violent criminals. Nah, dog. That's not who they're just going after. Also, let's be clear, I'm totally for them going after the violent criminals, but again, that's not just who they're going after. Even if someone is here legally, they're still not immune from these ICE Gestapo abductions. Yes, Gestapo, the Nazi police force that did the same thing in Hitler's Germany. Someone can have the right papers to prove that they're in the country legally, but that doesn't matter to these ICE retards who don't know a chair from a fire hydrant. And then you wonder why tourism to the US is down 14% with a $29 billion drop in revenue. Sheesh. Yes, people have been turned away at airport customs for the silliest things. Having a JD Vance meme on their phone, not having a well planned out lodging itinerary, holding views that are deemed a threat to the MAGA agenda. Extra scrutiny and harassment by customs officials have become more commonplace. I'm not saying it's happening like solely because of what's happening right now. This is not a new thing. It's happening more frequently. Stephen Miller, the Homeland Security advisor who gives direct orders to Trump as to how to carry out these deportations and to what extent, what his quotas are going to be, because they keep going up by like this many thousand, yes, thousands. And Kristi Noem, Secretary of Homeland Security, it's all part of their master plan. That being to make the country whiter. If anyone has brown skin and is speaking a language other than English, that's enough for them to say, get the hell out. Yes, they are rounding up people that are European immigrants, but it's not nearly to the extent as they are with non-European ones. It's also worth pointing out that under the Biden administration, there were a lot of deportations as well, which I also criticize. So no MAGA, there were not open borders under Biden, okay, when he was in office. So stop coping. And here's my immigration policy. It's pretty simple, really. If you come here to work and you contribute to taxes, you work hard, you provide for you and your family, you don't commit any crimes, I got no problem with you being in the country. And I will actively fight for you and your family to stay here as long as you want. However, if you steal, engage in criminal activity, gang activity, terrorism, extort, attack people, then your ass needs to be deported, no questions asked.